Grafana is every platform engineer's best friend, and it's got a great ecosystem of data source plugins that lets you visualize data from all these different data sources. The problem with that is these data sources often weren't built to visualize interactive dashboards, and so you end up with a mess of slow panels in your Grafana, which is no fun. So I'm going to show you how to build super fast charts in Grafana using the Tinybird data source plugin. Let's do it. And before we get started, bear in mind that this is an unsigned plugin that is not yet listed on the Grafana marketplace. As it turns out, there are a few barriers that prevented us from doing that this time around, so we're gathering some feedback with this open source version instead. So keep in mind that this won't work on Grafana Cloud, but it will work on your open source Grafana installs. So to install the Tinybird plugin, you need to copy the release zip file from the GitHub repository. If you're watching this on YouTube, I've linked to the releases in the description. Then you'll need to install it using the Grafana CLI. I've also included a link to the Grafana CLI documentation on this command in the YouTube description. Note that you may also need to enable the option in Grafana to allow loading unsigned plugins. So you want to add the Tinybird plugin to your grafana.ini file. After that, go ahead and restart Grafana. Now, open Grafana back up, click the little config icon down here, and then click Add Data Source, search for Tinybird, and select it. Now, let's configure it. But before we do that, let me clear something up. Tinybird has the concept of data sources internally, but a Tinybird data source in Grafana maps to a Tinybird workspace. So back to Grafana. You want to add the host for your workspace and your admin token, which you can copy from the Tinybird UI and paste into the form in the plugin config. Once you've done that, go ahead and click Save and Test. Now that you've successfully connected Tinybird to Grafana, you can go ahead and add some data to a dashboard. So down here in the query editor for the panel, you'll just select Tinybird as your data source and then choose from the pipes that are published as endpoints in your Tinybird workspace. You can also select how to format this particular query depending on what the pipe returns, and then you can also add query parameters as key value pairs. Note that you can use Grafana's parameter formatting and some of those global parameters to define things like date range selectors or other filters that will be passed to your Tinybird pipes based on the query parameters you've added to those pipes. So for instance, I have a pipe that has a start date and end date query parameters defined, and I'll add those and point those to these Grafana global params that define a date picker for the panel. And once you've added your parameters, you can select your visualization style over here on the right, click Apply, and there you go. And just look how fast these dashboards update on refresh. It's nearly instantaneous, which is exactly what you want in any dashboard. That's the power of Tinybird visualized in Grafana. Now, if you have any questions or feedback on this plugin, you know where to find us. I've linked to our Slack community in the YouTube description. And also let us know what you think. If you like this unsigned plugin and you'd like to see it signed and on the Grafana marketplace, please let us know. That way we can hear from you and know that we need to get it there. Cheers.